Welcome to this episode of Your Property Business, the video podcasts that help you get the most out of your own property business.
I was at a Cambridge PIN meeting yesterday, and a COVID story came out again from an investor who was stuck with loads of finance at the wrong time, and I think her point was similar to what you're making there. It's but be safe potentially. You can do things more predictably and slowly was her kind of thought process. She put herself in the middle of a very chaotic situation. Who knew COVID was going to happen? But I guess something like that could happen. And she was caught out ultimately. But she's a really good high performer on the PIN circuit, and credit to her and her kind of team that weathered that storm, learned from it, and still going. So I think resilience as part of an investor is one of the strengths you have to have.
Yeah, consistency and persistency, endless persistence.
Yeah, totally. That's really good story there. So just to summarize where we've got to, and the other observation I've got there, Tristan, is that I think people ask the question, what's your strategy? And I think sometimes that's the wrong question, or at least it's misinterpreted, because the strategy presumably is to, if you break down your strategy, create a positive impact through property investment might be your strategy, but your toolbox of things that you can do, flip stuff, you can delay completion, empty houses, one beds, whatever the strategy might be to achieve that goal. And I think that's really important to bring to the listener's attention, is that you kind of need to know a bit of everything, because if all you have is a hammer, everything will look like a nail. So make sure that you know what options you have, and I think that's what you have done.
The one thing for anyone who's at the beginning of their journey and they're trying to work out what next, or even if it's someone who's got a few properties and you're trying to think, okay, well, how can I accelerate this? The best thing to do at the very beginning is literally just know your trade. So like you're saying with a hammer and a nail, but okay, just master it. So, all right, next time I go to an HMO, okay, can I quickly work out roughly how I can rearrange this property to, say, achieve all en suites? Or, okay, when I go into this property, how can I find some lost space? And one of the things, we tap all of every time I go around a viewing, I tap all the walls. And at King Street we did, as we were tapping one of the walls, we could just hear it went hollow, and then it went solid. And so we're like, well, what's going on here? And we actually managed to find roughly about an extra, I think probably about 6 or 7 square meters of space that was worth £3,000 a square meter. So suddenly we got about £18,000 to £21,000 of uplift through knocking the walls. But the point being is actually it just comes down to, if you get really good at doing HMOs, whilst there might be other people in your niche, you will be really easy to know exactly which one of those properties works and which one's going to stack. And then as you do that, you then realize, okay, well, I know this about HMOs. Well, what about this also works for, say, doing an Airbnb? And the answer is actually, the difference for an Airbnb is probably they want more living space, they want more communal space, they want things to feel a bit more touchy-feely. When you go in, you want to feel that it's really nice, homely place. And an HMO still needs to feel homely, still needs to be a really beautiful space. But instead, in the bedrooms, you might put in a hanging rail, and then you put in a nice vanity table rather than a desk. But you're then starting with one skill set you've nailed, and then moving it across, rather than, I see quite a lot of people who, and I've definitely done it. You get the shiny penny syndrome. You're like, shit, we could just do this. We could just do that. We could jump into loads of things. I was like, well, no, actually, get good at one bit. And I think, if you think from what I said at the beginning, is even when I was doing one beds to two beds, the main principle was there was learning how to reconfigure a space. And then the reconfiguring the space I learned there is an exact skill that goes straight across to being able to do an HMO, because then you're able to work out how to rearrange and get those get the en suites in. And then from there, you've then got your information about HMOs, and now you might turn and say, okay, well, I know how to do flats, I know how to do an HMO. Well, what do I need to learn? Or I don't have the money for this right now. Okay, well, we go to, we head off to Chris's PIN networking event, and we sit down, we get chatting to people. And someone says, well, actually, I'd be open to a joint venture. And for anyone who's listening, I was on Chris's pin networking meetings online, and that's where I've ended up meeting a chap called Jimmy and a chap called Matt. And through those, we've now got about 5 properties together. So again, it's little things all pieced together, and you don't necessarily think, I'm just going to do this. Other windows might open, but focus on one thing, get good at it, and then evolve it.